is there any way we can leverage with technology advancement to mitigate environmental degradation?
Yes. Okay. So we're in the era of AI, artificial intelligence. So we can do, what we can do is monitoring. For instance, we've talked about the climate change. We can monitor it, AI can monitor. We can monitor agricultural practices. We can also monitor environmental degradation. For instance, I'll give you Mpape, for instance. Okay. So Mpape, there's what they call gully head. So now, annually, I think the gully in Mpape increases maybe between 15 to 18 meters annually. So you see your AI, you can use the technology to be monitoring the, if there is a stoppage or if the gully keeps, increasing.
And at what speed?
At what speed, at what rate, so what can you do to mitigate it? Is there any, is there need for a drainage system around there, or do we need to check the source of water that has been creating that pathway? So that is what it is. So technology can be leveraged to solve some of these issues, and then of course that will bring us to early warning. So you from your technological outcomes, also you can set up early warnings,
especially in the areas of erosion. And sometimes we have that the river is overflooding its bank and things like that.
We also have issue of the tectonic plate shifting at Mpape. When people complain of the earth tremor. So when that plate shifts, because the plate is a large slab at the lithosphere, the earth crust. So
elaborate more on that, because a good number of people seem to be afraid. There was a time a good number of people left Mpape and saying there's going to be earthquake there. So tell us, because you are a specialist on that area, is there going to be earthquake there?
If it is not well managed, it can cause earthquake.
If it is not well managed,
because what you're having is preparatory to earthquake. If you have earth tremor, that's sudden, vibration, and then it means there is a fault line. The fault line means that there is a crack in that plate. So what do? You need to reduce activity, because when the stress is too much, it's like the movement that has been going on. When it is tired, it's unable to complete that movement, or when there is collision with the plates, because it's like they are stuck. So when there is, so you need to take care of that fault line, and that's where the technology also comes in. So your technology should be able to detect the fault line. If you notice the fault line, it means that activities in that area should be discouraged. Do you have blast in that area? Discourage it. Whatever you have that is putting stress on the tectonic plate, you discourage it. So
there's always blast around there.
That's why I say if it is not well managed, it can get up to that point.
Because there was a time this argument came up, and a good number of people are saying, oh, in Nigeria we can't have earthquake because Nigeria is on the equatorial or something like that, and because of that we can't have it. Is it possible that we can have earthquake in Nigeria?
We never thought we would have earth tremor before in Nigeria. There are things that are coming up with climate change. I know a greater part of climate change is politicized, but it's a global issue. Whether you like it or not, in action somewhere can affect you. And that's the sad reality about climate change. So with climate change, anything can happen. So it is not for us to say, okay, it has never happened. A lot of things have been happening, and in Abu, when was the last time you experienced August break? So you see how climate change works. So one would say, during August break, we usually have that long break without rainfall, but these days the rain will fall without
I can't remember when we had it.
That is it. So one would have thought it would not happen in Nigeria. But today we have earth tremor. The last time it happened, and then it was discountenanced as if nothing happened. The second time when it happened, and then we had eyewitnesses that spoke to it that, look, this thing truly happened, and people vacated that environment. So that is how it will keep happening if it is not well managed. The second time it will happen, we do not know what is going to happen, what damage is going to cause. But the major point is the fault line identified? If there is fault line, if there is crack on that plate, it means there is possibility that something dangerous can happen.
In time to come.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, and that means there is need for every hands to be on deck now to avoid such catastrophe in time.
Stress.
All right. What do you think communities can do? Is there anything like community engagement towards mitigating environmental degradation?
Okay, so there's what they call that is an aspect of advocacy.
Yeah.
So it is very important, you know, for advocacy to take place, the community engagement. I think United Nations has what they call city rap. So it's a framework for, you know, getting into the community. And then, because it's just like community engagement when it comes to environmental issues, is like an architect who designs a plan. So the architect does not own. So you are the one to tell the architect, I need a 2-bedroom flat, I need a 3-bedroom flat. So the work of an architect is to embellish it, make it functional for you. But the architect cannot come and tell you, you must build 5-bedroom, you must build 2. So you give the architect the brief. So it's the same thing that happens to when you engage the community. The community is best informed about what is happening in that area. So they are the one to tell you, look, this stream, there was never salt, there was no salinity in this stream like 5 years ago. Today we are having salinity, and then it means that the climate change is real. So they are in the best position to inform you, to give you evidence of what they are looking for. And that is why when you are making plans for them, when you go into environmental impact assessment, and then that reminds me, in this issue of environmental degradation, there are key projects that environmental impact assessment needs to be carried out. What is the essence? The essence is to see what potential impact the project, if you are establishing filling stations there, if you are establishing a school, if you are establishing a tank farm, if you are setting up oil well, we need to know what impact it will bring. Are they closing down the streams? If they are closing down the streams because of your activities, how do you intend to feed the community, to bring water to the community? So when you check the potential impact, you look at the mitigating measures, and that is what the climate, the environmental impact assessment does. So what you do, you carry the community along, you give them feedback, you get information from them, and above all, you go into what is called a campaign, environmental campaign. There are certain things people do not know, especially people in the rural area. You need to educate them. You need to tell them what, you go into that crusade. So that will help. So it's very key: advocacy, planning, community engagement. So you carry the people along, and I'll give you another example of what happened in the Alo Dam in Maiduguri. So some people actually saw that there was a crack in that dam, so it was deteriorating. So, and of course, while it was deteriorating, there was no environmental auditing, so the dam was not well audited, because if you audit a project, it will give you a timeline on when to fix it. So the community were if the community people were well informed, so the people concerned didn't pay attention to it. So it is very, and if you want to set up anything, for instance, research, you want to carry out research somewhere, you must first of all meet with the community through the community leader, and then they are the one to lead you, to tell you, okay, this stream or this forest has to chemical link with our deities. We do not allow people to enter here. If you enter, but don't cut any tree or don't swim. We don't swim. So it's very important.
Thank you, Dr. Basi. Because of our time, it's getting interesting. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. I hope when next I call you, you will oblige us. Thank you. It's been, viewers out there, it's been an educative and informative segment today when we are discussing, as we discuss environmental degradation and as it affects sustainable living. Thank you so much for being part of this very segment.